Hello, everyone. It is Tea with Tonia. It is Wednesday. It is that time. And I am here today with the beautiful Jara Milman. I did a yoga teacher training with her. Oh, geez. When now I was trying to figure this out. How long ago was this? We did like
Let's see. I think it was about 2015 that we graduated together.
Yes. So it's been a while that we've known each other and did that yoga teacher training. And it's a very intense one. It's one where you become instantly close and form a bond with the people that you do have in the class, because you really don't realize the journey that you're going to go on. It's kind of like not posed that way. It's like a yoga training, and then you learn like all of the most transformational information about Eastern and Western and Kabbalah and all of this other stuff. So naturally you go on an incredible opening journey with the people in it. And I met you there. And for people who haven't tuned into Tea with Tonia before, the whole purpose of me doing Tea with Tonia is that in my life, I come across and meet the most extraordinary people in my life. And I'm so fortunate to do that. So the purpose of the show is to share the stories of extraordinary people in everyday life. I feel like in the news and sometimes in social media, we are always hearing all the stuff that's not working. And I tend to like to focus on the things that are working and to the stories and things that are going to inspire me. So this is my way of bringing and putting out inspiration in the world and sharing the stories of people who inspire me in my life. And you, my love, are one of them.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Tonia. The feeling is 100% mutual. I've always been inspired by you, and yeah, so thank you for having me on Tea with Tonia.
So yeah, tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you're from. I'd like people to know, like, location-wise, just so that we could all see how we are connected in different ways.
Sure. So I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and I moved to the city when I was about 20, and I've lived here ever since, and just love New York City. It's my place, right, to be. And what do I do? Let's see. So a couple things. I'm a guidance counselor in an elementary school. So I work with children, on a daily basis, just to help them with feelings and adjusting to school, and just being able to help them with their self-confidence, with many, myriad of different things that we do here in this position, but it's really mainly that, helping with, transitioning into the academic setting, which can be, sometimes challenging.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
For all of us, right? And then I am also a yoga instructor. Yeah, so when I'm not here, you'll find me at the studio.
And where's the studio that you, so it's Naam Yoga that you're still teaching at Naam?
Yes, so it's Naam Yoga, exactly, and it's on 72nd Street in Manhattan.
Oh, perfect. And then at the end, I'm going to include the link for everyone who wants to go check out one of her classes. I'm going to have all of the information on the Facebook Live, so you could check her out, because she is amazing. And now I want to get into a little bit more of her story as to why you could understand why she's not just the typical yoga teacher, and really hear her incredible journey and story. So the question I love to ask everyone is, like, what was the pain point in your life that you had to overcome in order to be living a life that lights you up and makes your heart sing? And so just sharing a little bit of that journey for yourself.
Yeah, so let's see, it's a pretty long story, so I'll make it as condensed as I possibly can, but try to get to the to the main themes, because there have been a lot of themes within that one pivotal moment. There's never really just one, but there was one moment in my life that changed my life forever, and that was the day that I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which for those of you who don't know, who are tuning in, rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition. And there's a lot of confusion around autoimmune condition, because autoimmune condition is not known. They don't really know the cause in the medical world, right? But I had been, going about my life, going to the gym, like 5 days a week, super active, always doing some type of activity. So, and loving to move around and, hard for me to sit still. Let's just say that.
Still won't change.
It's still difficult, but I've gotten so much better. So, and that's of course because of what life brought to me. And so again, it was just something that I was really into, was being active. And it was one of those things where back in 2012, some symptoms started to, happen and occur. And I really was not paying, like anybody else, you're just like, I'm busy, I have things to do, I have to get to work. You're not really paying that much attention to what's happening inside in your body. And it was not too long before I started to realize that I was having all this leg pain, and I didn't really understand or know exactly what that was at the time. But that was back in 2012. So there hadn't really been any major health conditions that I had ever had, at least unbeknownst to me, but there hadn't really been anything that I had been dealing with up until that point. I had always considered myself to be somebody that was just very healthy and nothing really outstanding. So it was a little bit of a shock when I started having the leg pain, and then one thing, led to the next, and the leg started to get really, really swollen. And I, wasn't able to walk or to move or to really do anything for a period of 3 months. So it was pretty intense, but I had this, because I didn't think that there was any, I just kept saying, whatever it is, we're gonna fix it, and it's gonna get better, and and there's a cure for everything. And I mean, this was my mentality. I never really veered from that mentality of like, everything is solvable. You just have to solve it. There's an answer to everything. You don't necessarily always know what that answer is at the time, right?
So good.
So yeah, so here I was, in my early 30s, and I was dealing with this situation, and I didn't know what was happening. So I was seeing a bunch of doctors, and so to make a very long story short, they had diagnosed me back then with another autoimmune condition, not rheumatoid arthritis. They said I had erythema nodosum, and it's a very medical term, and it's neither here nor there because I don't even fully understand it, but I just know that that was what they said at the time. So they told me, the doctors had given me some ways to be able to resolve this issue. They said, you need to take, it was a long journey with that, and they basically said, you have something that you need to take B12, but you're not absorbing it, and so you have to take it as a shot. That was the initial thing. And I said, I can deal with that. If I have to take a shot for the rest of my life to just go back to my regular business, I can deal with that. That's not a problem. I've done this before, in terms of other difficult things, not something, but I knew I was going to be getting back to my life after I was taking those shots. And I did. And then it was about maybe a couple months after that, that things started to really go downhill, and I started to get severe neck pain. And I didn't really understand exactly what was happening with that. So, figure about a couple of months just going, to doctors, getting MRIs, and, really trying to understand what was going on. And so it turned out that they said, you have spinal stenosis, which is like a narrowing of not a narrowing, the back is everything is compressed, right? So the discs don't really have that much room to move. So there was compression, basically what was happening. And so again, my attitude was, okay, well, we can fix this, right? Like I'll, do whatever I can do to make this work, and to feel better. That was always the intent. I just want to feel better because the pain was really unbearable. So we go through that. I end up getting a cervical fusion, right? So they operated on my neck, which was pretty intense, and I didn't even realize at the time what was to come next. So the pivotal so that wasn't the pivotal, Tonia. That was not the pivotal.
You know what? I love that, seeing all of this, because like this is the point of sharing someone's journey, because it's like you said, it's not always one thing. It's so many things, and like when you come on, you just see your bright smile, and just to hear what's behind it, it's just already amazing. So yes, continue, darling, continue.
Thank you. So let me think. Oh yeah. So after the neck surgery, I said, okay, you know, we're just going to do what we're told here, right? Like, which is go to the physical therapist and take your, you know, anti-pain medication, because the pain is, you know, pretty intense. And so I said, okay, I could do this, you know? And so I expected that after the surgery was done, that my neck was going to start to feel better and things were really going to be on a positive path. And that was the pivotal, because about 6 weeks after the surgery, the doctors and the nurses, they call you to check in on you, and they want to see, you know, how you're doing and how you're feeling and follow up. And I was a little confused, because by 6 weeks, I still wasn't getting better. So I didn't really understand what that was. And I said, okay, you know what, like, maybe it's just me and my neck, and like, it just takes more time. So the pivotal moment was the morning that I went to go feed my cats. I don't remember the date. And it was definitely like in 2013, because that was the same year that I had the surgery. So we're talking six years ago. Don't remember the date, but I know that I bent down to go feed my cats, and I couldn't do it, because my knees were so inflamed and so painful. And I said, what is going on? This is not a neck surgery issue. This is something much more, you know? And so that was when I, you know, fast forward a little bit, ended up going to a rheumatologist. And the pivotal moment, the real pivotal moment, was sitting in, what store was I in? I was in TJ Maxx. Waiting for results. I was waiting for the results for him to tell me what it was, because you know what, Tonia, I actually knew before he called me. And I remember saying to my mom, I already know what he's going to tell me. You know, I had tests done for that. He said, well, see, I don't think it's that, but you know your body. And right. You know, I knew myself on a very deep level, even though I didn't realize that I did, right? It was sort of suppressed at that point, because I was just trying to get from point A to point B, very linear, not really seeing, you know, that there's other shades of colors, right? So that's what happened. And so after that definitely was a pivotal moment, because getting diagnosed with something like that rocks your world. And it has been the biggest blessing in so many ways, but that was not something that was seen or recognized in the beginning. That is for sure. There was a lot of climbing to do, and still is today.
Absolutely.
You know? So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a part of your mantra that you had too, of just knowing that it's solvable, right? Like, none of it was ever a sentence. It's that certain mentality of having, in knowing that there was the solution, but then sometimes in knowing that there's always a solution, it wasn't addressing the real core problem too. And so the body won't stop until you get to what it really is. And that, like, at that moment, you kind of like then tuned into your body. Whether we want to know it or not, how painful it is, it's going to get through to us. So now I would love for you to share now you're at this point in your life, how you now live with this diagnosis. Like, how's your quality of life, and like what did it start to look like?
Yeah, so well, I love my life. I absolutely love my life. I wake up in the morning and I say thank you every single morning when I wake up, and even when I'm having painful you know, times, because that does happen too. I mean, it's the nature of, you know, what I experienced, but nothing like what I went through in the very beginning. And so I think because I have a basis for comparison, it's just been such an amazing journey for me to be able to wake up in the morning and just say, like, I'm getting out of bed. Like, this is incredible. Like, I can walk, I can go to work, I can be around people, I can laugh, I can talk. That wasn't going on for a period of time. So I was just on a mission. So now I like daily basis, like, practice my yoga practice, which Naam Yoga has been and will continue to be the basis of my happiness and my joy, because I get results, and I get them really, really fast.
Right.
And anybody that has ever taken a Naam class, and anybody that has ever experienced anything related to Naam will have that understanding and that knowing, because it's immediate feedback, because it's unconditional love. And it opens the heart, and it shows you that there's like a pathway to light, no matter what is going on in your life that is dark or scary or not solvable at the time, because that's the other thing, is that the doctors will tell you, and this is what was so difficult, was that, when you look it up online, it's like, there is no cure. And even today, like, I still, I look it up and say, medication will keep this at bay, which I never went that route. And that was a really big, challenge for me to stand, firmly and say, no, I know this is a spiritual issue. I know that this is a spiritual issue, and I know that, like, there's a place for medication, but I at one point was able to kind of dabble into that a little bit, but I had to really keep my faith and to know that there was something else in this for me, a gift on the other side of that real challenge, So sorry, I digressed a little, because I think you asked me about my daily life. But
no, but that was it, because part of it is like hearing, right? And this is the whole point of it, is like starting, at least what I like to see is like the dark and the light. Sometimes I feel like there's always an emphasis on one or the other without the combination of them both, because like that's what life is. It's the culmination of who you are in the dark so that you could get to the light. Like, you can't have one without the other. So the whole point is telling the journey so that people could see that everyone has their story and everyone has it. Maybe your details are a little different, but what's happening to you is never a punishment or something that's happening. It's usually happening for you. So sharing the stories of others. So I wanted to know what was then the quality of life, because I know I've met you in Naam, and it was, I didn't know your diagnosis. I knew the struggle that you went through in it because you had limited mobility in certain positions, but it was, I just remember how much you were getting your motion back while we were in Naam. And the other thing of it being absolutely a spiritual path and learning more about yourself and love and all of that has to do with the healing all around. But also Naam Yoga is extremely powerful, where it's also very engineering and scientific in how they do it. Like, it's not just like, sorry, but for the wooby, like, Jara's just not sitting there going like, I love myself, I love myself. Go to a class, it kicks your ass. Like, they literally use Shakti. So they use breath work to like bring up old trauma, process things. So it's removing the trauma out of your body through breath work, through poses, through the food that you eat, through chanting. And like, it's so intense, but they put it together so lovingly and with joy. And so it's like, it's hard work. That's why, people should check out the class. So it's insane that we're now like leading and doing these classes. I remember when we went and did the walk that we did for, I never say it right. Is it what is it?
Rheumatoid arthritis. It's okay.
Arthritis. Yes. I'm like, never say it right. But they had, the fundraiser, or they had like, the walk that you do for it. And you and I went, and you were just like, we did a video where you were doing like jumping jacks, just because, and just like, people need to hear your story, because you go online and it's like reading, like, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's nothing you could do about it. And like, here you are saying, no, that's not true. And you didn't go down the path of medicine. Not that that's right or wrong. Everyone is different, but
everyone is different. Everyone is different. But that was my inner self said to me, you know what, like, there's something else in this for you. And I could have done, taken the medication and gone that way. It's interesting because my family is, they're in the medical field. So that was a real, you can only imagine, right? That's for another interview.
That's the sprinkling on top. That's just like the sugar coating on top, just to like, sugar coating. If it wasn't challenging enough, here's a little something to throw it on top of it. Like, come on.
Yeah. So, and that was that for me, but that was the challenge, but that was also the gift.
Yes.
I needed to be able to say, I mean, my father is, you know, he's one of the best doctors in Long Island. He's, shout out to my dad, like,
Yeah, right. Well, Dad.
amazing, and he's brilliant. And I had to be able to say, you know, no, like this is something for me that for my body doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. Even though the literature says that's the only way that you're even going to have any bit of like life, you know, back. And so I said, no, there's something about that for me personally that just felt like it was covering what I needed to uncover. And it's not easy work. And that's why when you ask about my quality of life today, it's like, I absolutely love my life, but I will tell you that I walk a spiritual path where I really focus every day on like what needs to heal, you know? And it sounds so intense and like, oh, like that's what you're doing every day. But I love it because it gives me something to like think about every day. Like, where am I not loving myself enough? Because I think that at the root of what, you know, when I looked back, let's just say that, when I looked back and I realized I had been diagnosed with something that even though the doctors will give it a medical diagnosis, if we're looking at it from a spiritual, emotional basis, I was not being nice to myself. That is at the root, is that I was not being kind or loving or compassionate with me, you know, and it starts with you, right?
Always does. And that's why I always love the term it's dis-ease. So disease is something showing you that the body's trying to tell you something, awakening you to something that you're ignoring that needs focus and attention. And usually comes down to us just taking better care of ourselves, living a life that's authentic, fulfilled, joy, all of that. Trust me, I love all of that. And I think I just love what you said so much about knowing your body. I'm not knocking the medical profession at all or at what it is, but doctors diagnose you. This is what you go. They give you more information. They could read the body a certain way to give you the details. But then you also have to be your own doctor. Also be tuned into, let's call it your truth, so that the both of you could work together. It's not that their truth is just this, here it is. It's also, you've got to advocate for yourself and know your body and do that, like you said. And especially that it was a doctor who's brilliant and he's your dad. And doing that, like that's huge in speaking your truth, which I think a lot of people just don't do because they're afraid to get it wrong or whatever it is. But that is the real, like, so important to know that and to just share that. So I wanted to highlight that one big time. I'm just like, yes to that.
I love the feather. I love that. I want to can I pull a marker from my desk?
Yes, absolutely. I love anything that's fun. This is
I'll pull a Sharpie.
Anything that brings you joy. I use colored pens in my life. I have feathers. Like it's like you said, you know, every day isn't always full of joy, but I make sure then there's things all around me to bring that in, which then brings me to the next question. So it always leads in. Yeah. So what are the things in your life that bring you joy or that have that in your life that are built in for you?
There's so many. So I'll just give you a few to start. Well, I loved my job before. As a guidance counselor, I always loved what I did. I love working with children, and that's always been a passion of mine. But now, knowing what I know and the information that I have and knowing like the mistakes that I made in my life, not loving myself enough, not being kind to myself, it brings me so much joy to work with children and to be around that energy and to see them smile and to know that like, if we start helping them now to discover exactly how truly amazing they are, they can go to the highest heights. They don't have to start at, 30 something years old, start recognizing like, oh, wait a second, I am really amazing and I do have something to offer the world. And so it just brings me such incredible joy to go to work and to be able to give back to the young people and to the generation that is going to be stepping into, like the next, this world has shown us a lot of interesting, dynamics. And so to have, to get to work with children and to be able to do that and to teach them, by modeling that, like the most important thing is to take care of you and to focus on how you feel. Yeah. That brings me joy. That just brings me so much joy. And it keeps me, wanting to get up every morning, even on the days that, posing as more challenging. I'm like, nope, you're going to go to work, you're going to see the kids, and you're going to, you know, really just help them to tap into that brightness, that light within them. So
love it. I love it. I love it. I agree. I'm like, anytime I'm not in a good mood, I might go to a park or something. I'm like, the greatest teachers of joy are children. They just are the best. And I love how you are anchoring them at the young age, right? To realize like that's when they're so impressionable, to just start learning how to know more about themselves with a strong sense of self. Anything is possible because you just know that it is. And so instead of doing what we had to do, which was unlearn everything that didn't serve us, we can just go into it knowing that they are these people, and there's always things to process, but I just think it's like amazing on all fronts what it is that you do in your life every day. And just like with the joy and brightness that you bring is just ridiculous. Like your energy level is always has been, and it's just like this bright light. So those kids are very fortunate to have you by their side and just being a champion for them. So it's just thank you. And then my last bit now is, so what is a tool or words of wisdom or just something that you would like to share with people who are watching this right now that you kind of like learned along the way?
Sure. This is the biggest piece of wisdom that I took out of this whole thing, is that gratitude brings more goodies. So the more grateful we are, the more we receive in life. It is like universal law. But when you could say that to somebody, you can put that in words and say, be grateful. You know, we hear it a lot as children. It's like, be grateful for what you get.
Right.
This is not that type of thing. This is, it's not.
Thank you for that distinction. Yep.
Very different. It's very, very different. Then, you know, you got 3 cookies and your sister got 2. Like, be grateful that you got any at all. You know, you got 2 and your sister got 3. Just be happy that you got any. No, that is not gratitude. You know, gratitude to me is just being in that space where, you know, you're just appreciative no matter what it looks like. And that is the challenge, right? That is the challenge for all of us. These are not easy lessons, but when you are able to put yourself in that space and to feel complete gratitude for even the challenges, right? It just it changes your whole perspective. I love the quote, Wayne Dyer. He says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And, you know, it takes a whole lot of like working with these patterns that we've had, you know, going on for, you know, possibly lifetimes, right? But we're focused on this lifetime because that's enough. We don't need to go to the other ones right now.
No, not yet. But, you know, so you can watch the last interview with my aunt who does past life regression. So we cover all of that. Like,
that one.
I'm like, we got all of that. So in this space, we talk about everything weird, good, like past life. Yeah, there's all of that.
I love it. That's great. That is so great.
That you just said that with the gratitude, because that's what I found too. It's like, yeah, it's easy on a beautiful day. And, you know, it's not easy if you do it or not, but to take a moment to smell the roses. But like when it's winter outside and it's raining, can you see the joy in that? And I feel like those are the moments where you're able to reclaim life for yourself. It's not being a victim. It's actually then seeing that life is actually here serving us. And if there's something happening, try to see what the lesson is, because there's always something here to just grow and have us just be more extraordinary human beings. And we don't have to do this alone. There's people here to support us along the way too. So
absolutely. Yeah, gratitude is key. And I think one of the things that came out of this whole experience too, I don't think I know, is that I got to see the beauty in people. And when I was so much at my lowest, I saw like the beauty of service and how so many people, like even the simplest thing, like, do you want me to get your groceries for you? Or people that have done a lot of healing work, you know, with me, and I have so many teachers. I mean, I want to give shout outs to everybody. And I was actually thinking like, how many people are on the list? There's too many to count, you know, but there are countless people, but it just encouraged me to want to, and those people know who they are, by the way. So if they're watching this video, they'll just, I hope you smile, because what joy they have brought to, you know, into my life, to be able to, you know, receive those blessings from people that are just, you know, so selflessly wanting to serve and wanting to give back. And so I think it's important to know that like when someone is down, we might not always know what to say and know exactly what to do, but just a smile, listening to them, just telling them like, you know, I know it might not seem like it right now, but like everything is going to work out and you'll be all right because you're, you know, amazing and strong. Like any little words that you can, you know, give. And sometimes even if words don't work, just present, just showing up for that person is something that I got out of this whole experience. So. And now I want to give back, you know, as much as I can. So,
and that's usually how it goes, right? The teachers and those who do it, then it's almost like that's the whole point of our journeys, is for us to reclaim whatever it is that we are here to reclaim, and then teach it for others so that we could all just be living in our natural state, which is love, joy. And it's like all those woolly words, but that's really it. No one got more fooled than me when I was like a cynic, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is it. And it's like, you know, it's just to be that, like, yeah, it's happiness. Like that's it. And so,
and you are that, Tonia. So cynical or not, that is how you show up in the world.
Yes, it is. And I took that on big time too. When I was in that yoga training, like, really, this is where I'm meant to be right now. But
and it was.
Yeah, it was.
Here we are today, right?
Yep. And so I just thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability, your story. I know it's not easy to share a story and to go through, you know, the dark parts of it. It's easy to stay on the light, but thank you, because I know that there are people whom you are going to bring light to their dark spot. And I just think that that is what we're all here to do, right? To offer a little light in ways that we don't even know that we can. And sometimes we don't even get to meet the people. So thank you for sharing your story. And then when do you teach your classes so that people who want to show up for them, they could come and find you?
Absolutely. So I teach on Tuesday nights at Naam Yoga, New York. It's on West 72nd Street between Columbus and Amsterdam. They can check out naamyoganewyork.com on the, I think it's .com, I don't know, but it's Naam Yoga New York, and then it'll come up.
Put the link on there. And what time is your class?
The class is at 6:30 to 7:45 on Tuesday evenings. And there's a whole bunch of other great classes as well. So I encourage you to come to mine because we focus specifically on self-love. That is the focus, but we're doing Shakti Nam, which is just, you'll go on a journey, I can promise.
Oh, it will blow you away. It absolutely will connect you to joy instantly. So go check it out. Thank you everyone for watching and being here with us. And to watch any other interviews that I've done, they're on my YouTube page too. So check those out. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Jara, for being here. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.